BlogTalk Radio.
Hello, everyone. This is Chrism, and I'd like to welcome you to another conversation about your Kundalini awakening experience. In this conversation, I'd like to discuss with you about the flesh teacher, meaning the incarnated human being that has the Kundalini and that has been given a purpose to teach you and help you with yours. Before I do that, before we have our conversation, I would like to thank Amelia Santara and her family for sponsoring this program and allowing this information to be given to you. So thank you, Amelia Santara. And I would also like to thank Eileen Laurel for the many ways that she has blessed this program and has allowed this program to go forward. She is a Kundalini ambassador, and so I'd like to thank Eileen. So thank you, Eileen. And I would like to thank all of you listeners who are listening right now and are also listening in the future via the archives. So thank you for listening in the future, all of those who are hearing this on the archives. There are a few places where you can get this information, and one of them is Kundalini Awakening Systems, #1.com. So that's Kundalini Awakening Systems 1.com. And there are various communities. Kundalini Awakening Systems 1 at YahooGroups.com and Kundalini Awakening Systems 1 at Facebook groups. Another one is Kundalini Awakening ! At Facebook groups, and a Kundalini Ashram at Facebook groups as well. So those are some other options that people have to get this information. Another one is on YouTube. There are about 241, somewhere around there, videos that I've given about the Kundalini on YouTube, and you just need to punch in Chrism Kundalini, and it'll take you right there, and you'll see some of the videos pop up. So if you like to look at videos and learn through the video medium, then that is available for you. There is a Boston seminar coming up in October 19th and 20th. Liz is the person who is in charge of that, and I would like to thank Liz for her efforts in getting this information out to the blessed people on the East Coast. So thank you, Liz. You can reach her by her email, which is lzhao6, 6 @comcast.net. So that is lzhao, 6 @comcast.net. And once again, I'd like to thank you, Liz, for participating in this way. So without further ado, I'm going to begin with this program. The flesh teacher. The first thing a person needs to understand with the Kundalini is that the Kundalini is always inside the person from birth to death, and then, of course, beyond death into what people would call the afterlife. Kundalini is always present within the lifetime of the person and the afterlifetime of the person. It is a constant stream of divine evolution within the person that goes beyond the corporeal life existence and yet is part of the corporeal life difference. Now, for those of you that have had Kundalini come up or who want to have Kundalini come up, well, you are given very special opportunities to bring that fruition into being for yourselves. The first flesh Kundalini teacher is your flesh. Your flesh and the Kundalini. As the Kundalini begins to condition your body for its expression through your body, certain proclivities and learnings and understandings will be given. Some of the first of these learnings and understandings will be given through the laws of karma. You will often, not everyone, but many people will often learn what it is to have a lot of the karma come up for balancing at the same time. This can make life somewhat difficult because it's not just the good karma that comes up, but a lot of it is the difficult karma that's coming up. And it's coming up not from just one lifetime ago, but perhaps from many lifetimes ago. And because this is your time of exaltation, the Kundalini will begin to move that karma into a balancing position so that you can have the divine exaltation in your body at this time, in this lifetime. And so the karma will bring issues into your life, issues of difficulty, issues of fear, issues of want and need and desire and pleasure and pain and all of these different areas that karma likes to work with in this way. And so I want you to understand that your flesh, which encases your consciousness, is going to be taught first from the Kundalini, secondarily from the karma that the Kundalini brings into your equation, and then thirdly from another person such as myself or other people who are able to help you come into balance with the actual energy of the Kundalini in and upon the body. So this is just a typical outline. Now the first of the teachers, of course, is the Kundalini always. The Kundalini will steer you into the karma that it wants you to complete in order for you to have and hold the Kundalini in its more tactile and sensational expression. These karmas can last a long time, and a lot of it depends on how much you resist going through that karma. And you know, it is understood that you're going to resist it. You're not going to just step into a difficult karma going, oh, yay. You don't. It's not the easiest thing to do. And it's not supposed to be easy. This is something that you need to understand. It isn't supposed to be easy. The challenging karmas are there because they're challenging. And they're righting a lot of imbalances within your equation. And as these imbalances are brought back into balance, well, then your equation can move forward. But first, the first teaching in this context is that you must have the karma. Now, if you know about karma, and if you know that that you have a lifetime that is of a Kundalini expression, then it can be easier for you because you don't resist as much. But if you're like most people in the West, and by the West I'm including all of Europe, all of the United States and Canada, Mexico, and some of South America, Australia, parts of Asia, Russia, people that basically are dependent upon a scientific method for identifying their reality. Okay, so as we in the West, encounter a trouble or a problem, something that's causing us pain, we're going to go into resistance. We're going to go into resistance, and as we go into resistance, that Kundalini force behind us is going to push us into the karma even stronger. So as we resist, we tend to back away from going through, shall we say, the doorway of that karma. And the Kundalini is actually pushing us through the doorway into the karma. And so there's a bit of a struggle there between not wanting to go and the Kundalini saying, well, yes, you're going to go. And this has all kinds of ramifications. Sometimes if you have been living a nice life and not a lot of difficulties, and all of a sudden, all these difficulties were showered down upon you. And, this is not the easiest thing. And so as you go through these difficulties and as you may be having these difficulties right now, those of you who are listening to this show, you may, oh, my gosh, ever since the Kundalini came up, it's been so hard. It's been so bad. It's been so difficult. And I just want you to stop resisting it. Know that you are in a Kundalini refining process. And by refining, I'm referring to bringing out that karmic detritus. I mean, that's not the word, but it's an appropriate word, but not everybody knows what it means. The karmic garbage, shall we say that. The karmic imbalances that need to be balanced. And so that refinement process is separating the garbage from the true self. And so as you get rid of the garbage, as you take out the garbage, you are able to become closer and closer and closer to the self, that part of you that can have the Kundalini in a way that is productive, and yes, your joy will return, your love will return, all the beautiful things of life that you have experienced can be returned to you, but it's returned with a much larger level of knowledge. You have far more knowledge now than you ever did before. And so this is important for you to understand, because in many cases, if not most cases, you're going to have to go through some difficulties in order to get to the, shall we say, the clean air and the clean water and the clean energy of some of the higher elevations of your soul development. Okay. So the first teacher is the Kundalini, and it will steer you into the classrooms of karma. And this karma will begin to refine you through its own equation. You don't get to choose which karma is coming to you. You don't get to choose at all how the karma is coming to you from a 5 sense flesh encased spiritual basis. You did choose before you took the body to have this experience, and so of course, from the larger viewpoint, you did make these choices. But while you're in the body and you're behind the veil of forgetfulness, it will seem as if you have no choice, and you will indeed have no choice. The Kundalini will take those choices and direct the karma in such a way that allows you to refine yourself into a point where the Kundalini can be held and come through you in a stronger way. So that is the first of the flesh teachings that the Kundalini will assert itself upon you with. And as the karma, as you go through the karma, the laws of karma will take place, and you will experience the challenges that the karma is bringing into you. And some of the karma will be good karma too. It's not all challenging karma in the sense that, oh my gosh, I'm poor, or I have no money, or my relationship's falling apart, or any of the many ways that the challenging karmas can refine us. Some of the karma that comes in is good, because it's important for you to know that you can survive this. This isn't anything that is designed to destroy you at all. This is, in fact, more life affirming than destruction. And sure, you're going to lose some things. You're going to lose, say, your dependence on material items for happiness. You'll lose your dependence upon allowing people to walk all over you for self-identification. You will learn, you will lose many qualities that you may have developed through your life and the karma that has been given to you. You may lose some of these qualities, but you'll gain a much greater awareness and a new quality of self-confidence and self-validation than you may have had before. And so this is something that I want you to also consider. I would also like you to consider that as these teachings continue, that you will become lighter and lighter and lighter. And as your energy becomes lighter, so do some of the phenomena become less heavy upon you. Because the second tier of teachings that the Kundalini will bring into the flesh are its phenomena of presence within you, such as the Kriyas, as we've discussed on a very challenged radio show before, but also through your dream life and through the so-called coincidences that aren't coincidences that come to you, as you live your life. Job coincidences or relation coincidence or any of these things that will occur to a person throughout their initial Kundalini awakening experiences. So know this, that the Kriyas and all the phenomena, the entities, all the phenomena that come to a person as the Kundalini begins to express itself are there as part of that refinement process, part of a loosening of the illusory qualities of the five sense life as you come into the unlimited sense life of the Kundalini awakened individual. And this, my friend, this takes time. This is not an overnight pattern. If it were overnight, most people would just die. Okay, because the level of karma would be so strong, and the level of resistance would be so strong, and the changes would be too big and too burgeoning for a person to be able to withstand. So this is a trickle teaching. It trickles out in small amounts so that people can acclimate and process the teaching and then open themselves to more teaching. So please be aware of that. And then the third tier of teaching, of the flesh teachings, will be an actual Kundalini awakened flesh teacher, which is what I'm doing. The Kundalini will lead you to this person. You, as an ego personality, do not have the expanded insights and source in order to choose a teacher that is appropriate for your Kundalini expansion within your body. But your Kundalini does have that information. It has your information, and it will select a teacher for you. And one of the first things you go, well, how will I recognize that teacher? Well, you'll recognize that teacher by virtue of the level of information that your Kundalini triggers a response for you with. So as you have that level of reciprocal resonance with the flesh teacher that you may be reading of or watching on a video or seeing in a movie or seeing in person, then you can begin to understand that, oh, this may be a teacher that I can have for my Kundalini. And what you want to do, though, is you want to make sure that you separate the teacher for the Kundalini as different from the teacher for the karma. During the difficult karmic periods, different teachers may present themselves, and then you may lose interest in them. If you happen to find, or if the Kundalini shows you a flesh Kundalini teacher earlier in your process, the flesh Kundalini teacher can help you through your karma. Okay, because they already have reference points for karmic balancing, and so they can help you with that. So if your Kundalini has landed you upon a teacher that is alive, not dead, but alive, then that teacher can assist you, through the many levels of karmic balancing into an opening of the body for more Kundalini saturation. Okay, and I yes, from a larger context, that there is no death and everything is alive, and so you can say, well, Osho is alive and he's not dead, or Zarathustra is alive and he's not dead, and so therefore we can all learn from these teachers. And I'm saying, well, maybe not. Osho may have other things to do. It doesn't, just because a person reaches into the divine expression on this world doesn't mean that they don't have other work to do that is not of this world. And that goes for Osho or Zarathustra or Yogananda or any, Ramakrishna, Vivekananda, Aurobindo. I mean, you name it. There is more to go. Once you reach into the heavenly fields, there's some farm work to be done in those heavenly fields. Just to use a weak analogy, the fields have to be maintained or harvested or whatever the divine requires of a person who is there now. They're not always tied to the relationships of physicality that they developed while they were in the body. Okay? Now, through their teachings, of course, the teachings will live on, and they may serve you well. And so in that scenario, a dead teacher can still have positive influence upon the living student in that regard. But unless there is a divine desire to have that teacher coming back through and through, say such as a Christ or a Buddha or someone like that, then typically no. Typically the people who achieve divinity will move on. Not always, but typically. So know that when I'm talking about a flesh teacher, I'm talking about a living teacher, one that you can call on the phone, one that you can visit in person. And you want to do your best to not resist the Kundalini's guidance within you. Kundalini knows your equation, your Kundalini awakening equation, better than your ego self does or your 5-sense self does. And by the 5-sense self, I'm talking about the body, the mental mind, the emotional body, the psychological body, and the spiritual body. Kundalini knows those aspects of yourself better than you do, simply because Kundalini is within the last 3 vertebrae of your spine. It's been dormant with you your whole life. It's been waiting for you to experience levels of karma that would allow you to become refined enough to move into these higher levels of learning through itself. It's been waiting to become that divine teacher for you, waiting for you, gauging your response to the many different levels of karma that come, and all of these different things. And so what I'm going to encourage you to do is I'm going to encourage you to realize, number one, that you're having Kundalini. You can match that up with your symptoms. The symptoms of Kundalini are fairly clear, even though your rational mind will go, oh, my God, I can't be seeing that, or oh, my God, I can't be experiencing that. Oh, my God, what is going on? Your rational mind is going to be in shock with many of the phenomena that accompany Kundalini awakening. And that's okay. That's absolutely all right. The shock can be done. That can be handled. That is a typical part of the process. But then again, you don't want to continue to engage the ego aspect of the rational mind in trying to come to a diagnosis or conclusion about what is happening. Instead, you can actually match up your symptoms with Kundalini. You want to let the Kundalini do that for you. The ego mind has very little knowledge about the Kundalini. The rational mind has even less. So do understand that you're having Kundalini. Match up your symptoms. The heat at the base of the spine, the energy going up the spine, or the feeling of a presence within your spine, snake dreams or spider dreams or wolf dreams, the many different, the soft, cool breeze blowing into your face in a closed room, seeing the divine visions that shouldn't be in the room with you, but yet there they are. The scent of beautiful flowers blooming where no flowers are, the chanting of monks. I mean, the many different expressions that the Kundalini comes into a person with. The flesh teacher can help you with this. The flesh teacher can help you recognize this. And so when the Kundalini chooses a flesh teacher for you, explore that opportunity with great surrender. You may not like the way the person looks. You may not like what the person is saying because maybe it goes against your belief system. Say you have a belief system that outlines your reality to be just this way. It's A plus B equals C. And the Kundalini is all of a sudden go, no. A plus B equals X, Y, Z. And you may feel like, oh, well, that's just not right. And so you'll go into resistance with that. I don't want you to go into that resistance. I want you to explore the idea of A plus B equals X, Y, Z. Realizing that your Kundalini knows more about the understandings of divinity within your life than your rational or ego mind does. So as you begin to understand you have Kundalini, and the Kundalini drives you to different teachers, accept those teachers. Those teachers at first may come in books. They can be living teachers or dead teachers, but their knowledge will begin to sculpt your understanding. And as you begin to expand your understandings, the Kundalini may be preparing you for a living flesh teacher that you can interact with on a daily, if not weekly or monthly, whatever basis that develops for you that is comfortable for you. I find that I have very few accidental students. All of the students that I have come through the Kundalini, even when they have been in severe disagreement with me, and they have allowed their ego to flame out and to begin to create, untruthful scenarios about their interactions with me, their Kundalini has brought them there. Their Kundalini has brought them there, and your Kundalini may be bringing you to this teaching right now. It's not always going to be easy. It will not always be something that you will agree with, especially for those of us in the West. I was so anti-teacher for such a long time in my early part of my process. Like, nobody can teach me. Gosh darn it, I am strong and I can suffer through all of this. Gosh dang it, I don't need anybody to teach me. Can you hear any ego there? Believe me, this went on for years. So I can laugh at myself now, but I know that there are plenty of you out there who are saying the same thing. I don't need to be taught. I'm perfect. Oh, and then you get into the New Age people that are saying, well, you're just perfect the way you are. And of course you are. Of course you are perfect the way you are. But you could there's more perfection to be had, and the way you are is not the way the Kundalini will keep you. The Kundalini will change you, and it will change you within its divine expression into that luminous light being that that all religions lead to, and that many of the New Age people aspire to, but don't know because it's not happening to them. But they aspire towards that, and so you will have to let go of that idea. I don't need to be taught, because the Kundalini won't allow it to remain so. It will not allow that to remain so, and it will refine you and refine you and refine you. And I want to give the analogy of a rock polisher. You put the rock into the rock polisher, and it tumbles it around for a long time. It tumbles it around, and it takes off all the sharp, jagged edges, and it comes out this beautiful gem in the case of Kundalini people. But the polishing process can be difficult. Slam it into a wall and having your rough edges polished smooth. The rocks will often scream as that is occurring, and so will the people. So will the people often scream as that is occurring. And that had to happen to me. I was in the rock polisher for a very, 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 very long time. And I'm sure some of you are in the rock polisher right now, but maybe it won't have to be such a long time for you because of these teachings. That is my wish, anyway. So as you're introduced to a teacher, let's just say you're introduced to a Yogananda or an Aurobindo or any other person who has obviously had the Kundalini working through them, and so you learn certain levels of life experience from them, and then the Kundalini introduces you to a living teacher, a person that has the Kundalini, a person that will give you Shaktipat, a person that will give you real-time advice and teaching that pertain to you alone or to you and many other people. Sometimes the teachings are broad-based, and sometimes the teachings are narrow-based. Don't resist that teacher. Don't expect that teacher to live up to your expectations, but allow your Kundalini to lead you into those teachings as if you were a child. It's like Christ said, come as a child. Well, I would suggest that you come into these Kundalini teachings as a child, a mind that is wide open and curious about the beautiful world that is developing within them. Because the Kundalini world will develop within you first, and then outside of you secondarily. Just like the sacred feminine will come up from your feet to the first chakra and all the way out first, and the sacred male will join her from the external area, and the marriage will take place at the top of the head, at the crown chakra. Okay, so realize that your Kundalini is leading you to a flesh teacher, and recognize that and honor that. Honor that gift of the Kundalini to you. Right now I have Amelia Santara on the line, and Eileen, and another student who's just listening. And I'm going to ask them their feelings about what it is for them to have a flesh teacher, and how that may be different from, say, a Christ or a Yogananda or somebody who has died, and where that works for them in their Kundalini development. The first one that I'll talk with about that will be Santara. Santara, can you come online? Hello.
Hello, Chrism. I'm here. Hi.
Hello. Can you
yeah,
tell
I
everybody?
Kundalini definitely knew that I needed a life teacher. If you were saying that, I was laughing because, Amelia Santara certainly wouldn't have chosen a teacher at all, And as I look back, the Kundalini had begun to condition me way before I had any clue about Kundalini, through books and through various other ways. Like even way before my awakening event, before the divine awakening in my own body. And, you know, when that happened for a while, I was in this amazing place of bliss and unity consciousness and all of that. But it was after that when I began to feel a change, when I began to feel some fear. I suppose the long and the short of it is that my Kundalini led me to the Kundalini Awakening System site, and I began to read Chrism's teachings, and how I knew that Chrism was going to become my teacher was because there was an immediate resonance, and there was a knowing within me from my Kundalini that these teachings were for me on the path that I was on, and I knew that I was on a path, not a path that I completely understood. I mean, I didn't understand it at all, really, but I read about surrender, and I knew that that was the way I was supposed to go. I read about having no fear. I read about coming as a child, and, you know, the safeties, and all of those things really resonated with my true self and with the Kundalini in me. And so that was how I began my relationship with my Kundalini teacher, you know, through those invitations, through those teachings that I had got from the Kundalini within me, through the Kundalini within Chrism. And I knew that from the very beginning. And so, well, I suppose, you know, from the very start, there was a union between what I knew from my own Kundalini and what Chrism spoke. My teacher spoke in union with the Kundalini in me. And I knew that because of the response of my Kundalini. My Kundalini would communicate with me through phenomena, through infusions, through energy. And it was, you know, when I followed the teachings, when I chose not to go into fear, when I surrendered as, you know, the teachings were given through Chrism, well then, as I began to practice the safeties, all of these things were, you know, the tools and the gifts and the choices that my Kundalini was offering to me through the in-flesh teacher. And you know, in doing all of those things, I know now. I knew too at the time, but looking back, I can see how there was a lot of purification going on and a lot of refinement. And, you know, so having a real flesh teacher allowed me to surrender to Kundalini in a much greater way than if I was on my own with my ego personality. My ego personality, is this making sense? My ego personality could not have done it as I did it on its own. So, like, I know and have had no doubt from the beginning that Kundalini selected a teacher for me because it knew me better. It knew that I could not do it on my own, that my ego was resisted. What Kundalini
right. It would be hard for
you know?
For the person to come to an intact.
Yes. So.
Well, thank you. Thank you, Amelia. Thank you for relating that. And I'm going to also.
Yeah, there's a lot more, but anyway.
Oh, I know. There's a lot more. I know. I'm going to also ask Eileen to come online here. Eileen.
I'm here. Can you?
Are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Can you tell the people a little bit about your experience?
Well, mine is somewhat different than Santara's in that when the Kundalini came to me, I really had no experience before that. I didn't even know what it was. I didn't have a name for it. And when it came, it's like I got on the computer and I started looking around, and all of a sudden I knew what it was. It was Kundalini. And within a very short research or searching on the computer, I found Chrism. I found the Kundalini Awakening System site, and I found you. And somehow I knew, like Amelia, as Santara has said, that she just knew. And somehow I knew that I needed a teacher, and that teacher was to be Chrism. And I had never really followed anyone before. I had not done a lot of reading. This was all new to me. And I am a librarian by trade, and I love words. And what really struck me were the teachings, the writings. And I've said it many, many times, I love the writings that come through you from Shakti. They are very to the point. They're, in a sense, they're simplistic, and I don't mean that as a negative thing. They're very easy to read, and they can be understood wherever a person is. Like, I will read an article or a teaching, and I'll understand some of it. And then the next time I read it, I'll pick up something else. And so it was the teachings and the fact that all of a sudden things were becoming more clear by the reading of the teachings. It is different having a flesh teacher than a teacher that you can read about.
How is that different for you, Eileen?
Right now I'm reading that book, Autobiography of a Yogi, and the people in there are all past. And I like what Yogananda is saying, and it's an interesting story, but I need something more tangible. I need to be able to see someone, talk to someone. It makes it easier for me because I have a very strong ego, as you know, and reading a book is not going to help me, I don't feel. It's just, for me, it's made it easier on the one hand to have a person that I can relate with. It hasn't been easy, but now looking back on this 6 years, I feel really good about what happened, even though I know I'm not quite there, or it's going to take a while. I feel really good about what has occurred, and it would not have occurred had I not had a living teacher.
Well, I must say, Eileen, in your defense, you've had some very strong karmic blockages come up, but I feel that you're facing them in the way that your Kundalini is allowing you to face them, and so don't hit yourself too hard with that. Everybody develops at their own rate. It's not a race, and it's been an honor to be and to continue to be your flesh teacher for your Kundalini awakening. And thank you, Eileen, for coming online and giving a little bit of an idea for other people to learn from what it is to have a Kundalini teacher as opposed to a, shall we say, what would you call it, a minister or a pastor or a reverend or somebody of that nature. Now, we have another student who is just listening, Rosemary. Would you care to come on line, Rosemary, just and maybe give a little bit of your experience with a flesh teacher? Hi,
yes.
Rosemary.
Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. I was about to find the button to push because I'm remembering my youth. I'm an older person now, but I remember early in my youth having a spiritual guide and and reading John of the Cross was part of the life that I lived then, and Teresa of Avila, and finding it, well, this could never be. But that was like a foundation for that relationship of a spiritual director. And then many years without that, and I agree with someone had just said about being that's the Kundalini. Chrism, you said our Kundalini leads us into the places that we are to hear about Kundalini. And I heard the word twice, and then was sitting 2 years ago in a seminar. So I know that was being led. What I find now is I'm sure it's not 100% willingness, but an openness and willingness to be led and to be searching that direction. I know that I know nothing about how this goes or how this works. If I did, I would have been here by now, but I haven't. And so I know I don't know. And I look forward to conversations with Chrism when he can be listening for what it is that I need to practice or change my practice. And it's very touching for me because they're very small things, but it's powerful. I have grown in preparation for this to really know the limitations of the ego life, and that's not enough to be spiritually present. And so that much I know, but I didn't. You can't do it yourself. You can't pull yourself through it. You can't see the person who knows and can. It's like being blindfolded, I think, walking and you're blindfolded. But I have greatly been blessed, Chrism, by your guidance, your direction, and see the results and the presence, awareness I have. I haven't had that spinal sweep, but I have an awareness of Kundalini's presence in me and guiding me, and I have a peacefulness.
You, Rosemary, you know the gift of that primary teacher, which is the Kundalini. Feel it. You feel it guiding you and directing you, and basically I feel that there is a level of harmony between what I guide you to do and what it guides you to do. Have you experienced that? Well,
and
thank
yet,
you, my dear.
Yes, without your being like a translator, an observer, you can help me see that. I don't think, at least not at this point in my life and this journey, that I would be seeing that myself or even hearing it.
Well, yeah, the ego and the rational mind might just get in the way of understanding. Well, thank you, dear Rosemary, for calling in, and much appreciated. I would like to give the call-in number right now, and that number is area code 347-934-0026. That is 347-934-0026. And I see some familiar faces on the chat group there. Fashji, if you'd like to call in, or anyone. Anybody can call in if they have a question about their Kundalini awakening experience, or maybe a family member is going through Kundalini, or a friend. Please feel free to call in. The number is 347-934-0026. And I see, Santara, that you're back online. Did you have some more that you'd like to add, Santara?
Well, I suppose to say, Chrism, that, Kundalini is such an incredible event within my life, and that the difference, not to have a Kundalini awakened teacher, I just can't imagine what my journey would have been like without that. And the difference with an in-flesh teacher means, an in-flesh teacher can respond to me in real time with what is happening with me in my process, and can understand the phenomena, can understand what's going on, And in that way, it is very different to, picking up a book or reading in general terms about Kundalini awakening. I have an interactive teacher, and I give thanks for that every day. Okay, I think we have another caller. One moment, and I'll check.
Hello, you're on with Chrism. Hello. Hello. Did you just want to listen? I'll put you back on hold here. Oh, it's Vashti. Hello, Vashti. Is your phone working there? You'll have to talk through it.
Vashti is being patched through now. I think you can speak to each other, Chrism.
Hello, Vashti. Hello. Vashti, I see you're there, but I'm not hearing your words.
You should be. One moment.
Okay.
So, yes, that's with me. I'm back.
What's that, Amelia? Oh, okay. Vashti, can you hear? Can you speak? Can you say something? I don't know if you're talking on Skype or if you have your cell phone there. Okay, all right. So we'll see if we can get back to Vashti later in the program.
He's going to bring back Chris.
Okay, very good. When you have a flesh teacher, it's very important for you to know that you must surrender yourself to that flesh teacher. And so there's an element of discernment that you must have with your Kundalini to give yourself permission to surrender to that flesh person. And I don't mean that you surrender in a way that you would to a conqueror or an enemy or anything like that. It's more that you surrender to the teachings, that you take the teachings to heart, that you obey the teachings within you. And I use that terrible word obey that the ego hates to hear. I think it's very important that you allow yourself to go into a complete surrender to the Kundalini. It looks like we may have Vashti back again. Bring him on here. Hello, Vashti.
Master C, finally.
So good to hear you. Thank you. Thank you for calling in, Vashti. That's very nice of you.
Oh, no. I felt it an honor to be able to speak to you, my two sisters, Santara and Elaine, and as well as you, Master C. This is a most extraordinary topic, and I can't say how important it is indeed to have a flesh teacher. There is that wave of grace that passes between the disciple or follower and the living master or the living teacher that is a part of this whole process of awakening. And I was just I was sitting here and I was telling my wife, I said, about my experiences, and I'll call back in later and we'll talk about that because I want to hear the rest of what you're about to say. But we are determined that I'm a top down, so I'm a little bit different, and I wanted to sort of explore that with you because I have recently been having some most extraordinary experiences.
Oh, well, good. I'm glad to hear that. Yeah, a top-down Kundalini awakening indicates that the person has activated at the crown first, and that the energy is flowing downward through the chakras, and the person. And this happens. This is not as uncommon as it might sound, but a person is going through the refinement process from the top down, and this is a somewhat challenging way to go from refinement into density, but it is what we do as spirits in a body. We go from a very refined state in the spiritual form into a dense body, and as difficult as that can be, it is one of the ways that this type of a thing occurs. And I see that you logged off there, Vashi, but I want to thank you for calling in, and I'd be happy to talk with you about your specific Kundalini awakening experience. Top-down experiencers can be challenged much by the karma that has been accrued, and in many ways, the people that do a lot of astral projection, or say people that really work to develop skills that have to do with the spirit journeying, or any of a number of goal-based belief systems that allow people to harness skills that are of a mystical nature. Well, they can often have that top-down experience, and so and that top-down experience, certainly within the level of the out-of-body experience or the soul journeying experience, can become precursors to Kundalini awakening. If you get into the anatomy of an out-of-body experience, which I'm not going to get into too much on this one. Maybe the next show we'll do the OBE and the Kundalini, and that can open up some information about that occurrence if people are interested. I'm going to get into a sensitive area with regards to the Kundalini flesh teacher, and this sensitive area is the level of devotion. In the West, we have a very, very sour opinion about the word guru, G-U-R-U, which basically means teacher in Sanskrit. We have somewhat of a sour opinion about giving our power to another person or to another living soul, thinking that, well, if they're alive, they must be in some way weaker than a Christ or a Buddha who are dead. And the nice thing about having a dead teacher is, they're not gonna hold it against you if you decide to do something terrible in the name of Christ or in the name of Buddha or in the name of Allah. Stoning people buried to their shoulders in the sand and saying, it's in the name of this God or that God, and finding a level of permissiveness based upon a religious system. A living teacher, you don't get to run away from that way. I mean, you can still run away. I mean, nobody's incarcerated with the teacher, but there's a level of responsibility that a person may have, especially within a Kundalini context, to following the teachings that the Kundalini has given them through that flesh, that living teacher. Forgiveness being one of the most important teachings that people tend to shy away from because it's not convenient, or maybe they're so used to holding a grudge that they can't easily extricate themselves from that feeling. So this devotion that I'm talking about with regard to the flesh teacher is extremely important. And you must be able to open yourself into that teacher's embrace, into that teacher's Kundalini, and allow that Kundalini from the teacher to merge with the Kundalini from yourself. And they will merge. They will merge. Matter of fact, for those of you who are listening in the future and those of you who are listening right now, if you have awakened Kundalini, it's already merging with you. My Kundalini, my voice is a carrier wave of Kundalini going into your eardrum, going from your ears into your spine, into your brain, into your Kundalini. Your Kundalini is resonating with this information. It is not accidental that I am a Kundalini teacher and I have awakened Kundalini. It's not accidental at all. I didn't really get much of a choice in that whole idea. And so I know that this force is reaching from me into you and giving you levels of information and balance that you have not yet had up to this point. Giving you greater levels of information beyond what the topic of this show is, that suits your particular Kundalini awakening equation. So the more devotion you can give, the more reverence you can give, the more trust you can give, the more sincerity you can give into the teachings that this flesh teacher is giving you, the greater your experience will be with your Kundalini. The Kundalini knows itself. It knows who it is, and it knows who you are. And the Kundalini knows what flesh living teacher is appropriate for you on this planet at this time. And it's most often it is not the glitzy, well-moneyed teacher that's, frumping around the world, saying, "Oh, I will give you enlightenment and bliss," and this and that. Because rarely do they mention some of the difficult karmic aspects until you've given them all your money. So feel what your Kundalini is giving you, not what your ego wants to give you. Be devotional to the Kundalini teacher, not to your idea of the personality of the Kundalini teacher. It's the Kundalini in the flesh teacher that one is resonating with, not their personality, not that tool of communication that the flesh Kundalini teacher is using in order to communicate Kundalini information to you with. It is the Kundalini in that flesh teacher that you give reverence to, that you give devotion to, that you begin to really, really surrender yourself into. It is not the personality of that Kundalini flesh teacher. I need that to be particularly clear for those, especially those of us in the West. It is to the living, energetic force within that living flesh Kundalini teacher. This is the Guru. Because what is happening is the Kundalini is directing information through that teacher into you and many, many, many other people. If you follow Eileen's advice and you go to the Kundalini Awakening Systems 1.com site, you start reading some of the writing, you will feel that living grace come from the writing. If you have the CD, you will feel that living grace come from the CD into you, into your living grace, harmonizing with it, revering it, surrendering itself within it, mixing with it, merging with it. Very, very important for people to understand that when you give reverence to a living Kundalini teacher, it is the living aspect of that teacher that you're giving reverence to. The living Kundalini aspect, not the personality. Yes, the personality is often the conduit of communication, but it's the energy behind that communication. It's the Kundalini within the expression of the instructions that are being given, or the wisdoms that are being given, or the love that is being given from that Kundalini awakened teacher that you resonate with. Another thing is not all Kundalini teachers are floating on a cloud and, handing out, cotton candy and strawberries. Sometimes the teachings need to be hard. Sometimes levels of tough love need to be established. And Christ did this, Yogananda's done this, Ramakrishna, Aurobindo. I mean, some of the Hindu teachers have been quite strict and with high levels of expected adulation and reverence for that teacher. I'm much easier, although I do have expectations of people to at least be able to follow the safeties, the safety protocols, and I mentioned those as they are on the www.KundaliniAwakeningSystems1.com website. Go to the website. It'll be on the left-hand menu, fourth selection down. You'll see it, the safeties. Read them. These safeties are in French, in Spanish, in Turkish, in Korean, I believe. These safeties will help you. Please be able to do that very least. And I'd like to say hello to Aloha Jay and Kanjao. Hello to the two of you. And of course, all the other guests, 213-219-2624, 2673, 2775, and 3007. Hello, all of you, and thank you for calling in and listening to this live. These Kundalini teachers are not common. Most people, even on the web, there's not very many Kundalini teachers that will work with an activated person's Kundalini without injecting fear or control or things of that nature. I feel a bit alone in that I am doing this, but I know that it needs to be done. I don't mind being alone. Solitude is my friend. But I just want you to know that it's not such a common thing to find. If you feel that your Kundalini is directing you to my teachings, then open to this. Open to this. I will suggest that you not be the New Age butterfly flying around and tasting of this teaching and tasting of that teaching. And if you know you have Kundalini, and if your Kundalini has led you here, then here is where you need to be. The ego can often go, oh, well, I'll just try this, and I'll try this, and I'll try that, and I'll try this, and I'll taste this, and I'll sip that, and I'll chew on this. And I'm going to suggest that you just sit down, stop flitting around, go into meditation, and see where it is your Kundalini wants you to learn from. And if it wants you to learn from Chrism, then really, really, really bury yourself into the teachings of Chrism. If it wants you to learn from somebody else, then really, really, really get down and bury yourself in those teachings. Kundalini isn't something that you flit around with. Kundalini is actual enlightenment upon the body with physiological expression and changes. People can go crazy with this. Even people that have had it, say a person has had the Kundalini awaken, they go to the psych ward for years and years, they come back on lithium and some of the other really strong tranquilizers, and they come out of it. Well, the Kundalini can pick up where it left off in a heartbeat. So you really need to devote yourself to the specific living Kundalini teacher that the Kundalini itself within you has directed you to. Now, I want to put out the phone number again. The area code is 347-934-0026. You're going to hear a phone ringing in the back, and I apologize, but it's just going to keep ringing. Hello, aloha, Jay. Hello, hello. What is that? Is that some sort of animation? Well, hello there. Thanks for writing something. So yeah, if anybody wants to call in, and Kanjao, hello, I see that you're typing as well. Practicing Tantra meditation tonight. Tantra. So yes. If the Kundalini has led you into these teachings that I am offering that I'm going to strongly suggest that you come into them fully. Submerge yourself into them. It's no accident that you're hearing them. It is no accident that you're hearing them. It is a blessing that you are being given, and I will just suggest that you do not let your ego hijack this blessing away from you. Take advantage of what it is that is being offered to you. And for those of you that are studying Tantra, such as Aloha, Jay, hello, Tantra is the pathway towards the Kundalini. So if your Kundalini is giving you Tantric teachings, know that you are on the way to beginning an awakening process towards Kundalini. Tantra can be a difficult path only because there's so much taboo associated with it, and in the West, that taboo can really kind of get in the way. But if you can bring yourself above the many taboos of Tantra, then it can be a very strong activation expression for the Kundalini. Let's see. And usually listen to you on the archive home today, so decided to listen live. Well, thank you, Kanjao. I hope I'm saying that right. But anyway, as any of you who may be listening, and if you do listen to the archives, you are getting that Kundalini energy that comes through me into you. So in a way, there is a form of Shaktipat that is being given, Shaktipat being the Sanskrit word for transmission of Kundalini. And this is as it needs to be. I am not a well-known teacher, and so I am not getting accidental students. All the students that I get, private or otherwise, are people that have been led there by the energy within themselves, by that guidance that is giving them into a path of enlightenment. And so I want to welcome all of you who are live right now. Hello, everyone. And all of you who are listening in the future in the archives. And I'm going to leave this last 17 minutes open for anybody that wants to call. Hello, Ravenese, I think I'm getting that right. I see that you're writing on the chat group. And Ravenese, aloha, Jay Kanjao. If you'd like to call in, the number is 347-934-0026. Let's see. Ravenese, yes, thank you. Is it possible to take advice from more than one Kundalini-activated teacher? There you go, Ravenese. That is a very good question. I will suggest that the Kundalini in you will want to choose one to come from. Now, it depends. Is it a living teacher? If it's a living teacher, then I'll suggest that, Ravenese, that it will be one teacher. If it's a dead teacher or a deceased teacher, then there can be many different ones. Yogananda or Abindu, Vivekananda, Jesus, Buddha. Any of the Tibetan masters that were also, Kundalini awakened. So definitely. If it's a deceased teacher, then of course. They have left their teachings for people to partake of, and there is an energetic signature that is left, especially, say, with Yogananda. He left a fairly strong energetic resonance within his writings, but also at his different ashrams that I've visited in the Los Angeles area. And you can feel it. But with a living teacher, someone who is going to go inside you and feel and harmonize with your Kundalini, the suggestion, I'm sure, from your Kundalini will be for you to choose one that you feel resonates best with you, or that your Kundalini feels resonates best with how it wants you to mature within your Kundalini awakening equation. So hello. And Ravenese, thank you. That's an excellent question. Thank you for asking that. And if anybody else on the chat group has a question that they would like to ask without calling in, please feel free to ask the. Thank you, Ravenese. Thank you. To write the question on the chat group. I'm not sure I can tell you how to get to the chat group. I'm going to bring Santara on right now. Santara, how do they get to the chat group? Is there any special way?
Well, it's interesting. I'm actually not too sure. I'm not too sure. Maybe, for example, I can see some people on the chat room and I don't think they're seeing themselves in the chat room. I will try and find that out for next week for sure, and I'll let you know quickly. Sorry,
okay,
I have no information now.
No. That's quite all right. I'm going to go ahead and put you on hold here. And then, so Ravenese or Aloha J or Kanjao or any of the guests with their numbers, if you have a question you would like to ask, then I'm open for another 14 minutes to answer that. Let's go back into the devotion aspect. And this Ravenese, this also ties in a bit to your question as well. As you come in to the presence of a Kundalini awakened teacher, you know for a fact that this person is Kundalini awakened, not just charismatic. Okay, the Buddhists call many of the awakening systems as they call them charisms, and and that's just another word for symptoms. Make sure that the person that you're considering to be Kundalini active is actually, in essence, Kundalini awakened. That this person is really resonating with your own energetic principle, with your own energetic spiritual equation. And then as you find this person, and they're not common, Ravenese, they are not common. When you find them, devote yourself to them, if they will let you. Devote yourself to them. Feel their energy through the love that they give to you and the love that you give to them. Bond with them as strongly as you can. Go outside of the tolerance of society. Go outside of the tolerance of society so that you're not bound by the parameters of society. Your Kundalini will not steer you wrong. Your Kundalini will not steer you into a person who is not healthy for you. Trust that source within you. Trust that source within you and allow that Kundalini awakened teacher to give to you the knowledge and the exercises and the instructions and the wisdom that comes from their Kundalini awakened source. Visit them in person. Talk to them on Skype. Talk to them on the phone. Read their writings. And if you read their writings and you see how, say, they interact within an online society or something like that, and you look at them, how they are responding, you can get a pretty clear idea. If you do a search of them on the internet, that may not be the best way, because then you're going to have all the people that didn't like them for whatever ego reasons that they had, and this has occurred for me as well. So you get the hatred comes out much more on the searches than the love. If you go into the community, however, the love comes in much cleaner. It seems the love is reticent to advertise itself, but the hatred never is. The hatred wants everyone to know. Okay. So, one last time for the numbers, 347-934-0026. As much as you can, go into devotional practices, and the Kundalini flesh teacher will give you instruction on how to do the devotion. There are very, very, very ancient protocols for devotional expressions. And I practice these protocols with my private students, and they go very well, especially in conjunction with the practice of the safety protocols. And I must tell you that for a person to become a private student of mine, they must begin a daily practice of the safeties, and some of the students are practicing them twice a day. Okay, and then if we start doing Skype work or in-person work, then there are many, many other levels of devotional practice that can be given. One of them is just taking a drive with me in a car. Amelia Santara and Eileen Laurel have both taken very, very long journeys with me, and other students have taken very long journeys with me in a car, and a lot of radiance is collected by that person just by sitting next to the awakened teacher that way. So that's another option that a living teacher can give, is that one-on-one, person-to-person experience, or even 1-on-4, or 1-on-10, or 1-on-20. I mean, I've had many more than just one person come into the field of radiance. And the living Kundalini person gives off a huge radiance footprint upon the world. I mean, it's a large expression of Kundalini radiance that comes through that awakened person. And as you will feel that emanating from yourself, you can imagine how it emanates from the person that's had the awakened Kundalini for such a long time. And it's such an expression. Not everybody that has the awakened Kundalini is a teacher of the Kundalini. That's just a rarer quality of the expression in the Kundalini upon this world. Not everybody is set up to be a teacher. Not everybody has the time or the desire to do that, and not everybody's Kundalini requires that of them. Mine does. So I'm there for you if that is something that you wish to partake of. And you can contact me privately at